but I will call
Okay.
them and I will have it to you.
Thank
No
you
problem.
so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman Collins, thank you very much. Senator Van Hollen.
Thank you. So, Mr. Secretary, I mentioned in my opening comments the RIFF plans. On February 11th, President Trump signed an executive order requiring agency heads to plan, quote, large-scale reductions in force, known as RIFs, and agency reorganization plans. On March 27th, Senator Moran and I sent you a letter requesting that you send us the plans the department submitted to the White House. It's now June 4th. We've not received a response. We're in the middle of a budget hearing. First of all, you would agree, would you not, that your reorganization plans are relevant to the committee's consideration of the budget?
I think our proposal for the budget is clear, so I think it takes those things into account.
Mr. Secretary, let me ask you this. Are you going to provide us with the reorganization plan, and when?
I will certainly get together with the department, and we will consider what information we can give you that makes sense. But I'm happy to work with you offline if you'd like.
Okay, Mr. Secretary, you're aware of the fact that a federal district court ruled that the RIF plans proposed by the Trump administration could not go forward because the judge stated that, quote, agencies may not conduct large-scale reorganizations and reductions in force in blatant disregard of Congress's mandates, and a president may not initiate large-scale executive branch reorganization without partnering with Congress. That decision was upheld by an appellate court just a few days ago. I'm not asking you to opine on that legal decision. I'm simply asking you to provide the committee with the reorganization plan, and your response is maybe yes, maybe no. Am I getting that right? I mean, are you going to provide the plan to the this committee as we review the budget for the upcoming year?
Well, we at the department are going to follow the law. That, of course, is what we're going to do.
Okay. Well, the law actually does require that you submit these major changes to the—
Senator Van Hollen questioned the secretary during a budget hearing regarding the Trump administration's reduction in force, RIF, and agency reorganization plans. These plans, initiated by a February 11th executive order, required agencies to prepare for large-scale workforce reductions. Despite a March 27th letter from Senators Van Hollen and Moran requesting the department's submitted plans, no response had been received by June 4th. Van Hollen emphasized the importance of these plans for evaluating the current budget and asked the secretary directly whether the committee would receive them. The secretary responded vaguely, indicating a willingness to consider what could be shared and to work offline
Well,
if
the
necessary.
law actually does require that you submit these major changes to the Senate. Let me ask you this. I mentioned in my opening statement the fact that I'd sent a number of letters to you. Our staff has actually sent inquiries to your team. I have a lot of questions today, but they'll be a lot longer unless I can get a commitment that you and your team will respond to the inquiries we've made. These are simple questions. They don't, and I'll set aside for now the RIF plan. And Mr. Chairman, I would ask unanimous consent to submit to the record the letters that I've sent to the Secretary and the staff inquiries that my team has made.
Without objection.
Okay. Mr. Secretary, will you agree, say, within a week to get responses to these inquiries?
I can easily agree that I will go through your letters, and to the extent I can answer them, I will happily answer you within a week.
Well, when you say—
I don't know what the letters
this is
say
an
as I
oversight
sit here right
question.
now. So.
Well, okay. Mr. Secretary, their question, I'll read through some of them later in the hearing. We can go through them one by one. They're pretty straightforward, simple questions about the implications of the department's actions on certain programs. Let me turn to the National Weather Service for a moment because, as you know, originally 600 staff were eliminated from the National Weather Service. Then all of a sudden, it seems the department realized that this was not really a good idea, as many weather stations around the country, and the chairman referenced some of them, said they couldn't be staffed full-time. We have a headline from just May 15th, Washington Post: NOAA scrambles to fill forecasting jobs as hurricane season looms. I know that we're scrambling to try and rehire about 100 or hire 126 people. But, Mr. Secretary, it's my understanding that as of today, offices in Kansas, Alaska, and Oregon are no longer operating 24 hours a day. Is that accurate?
The department employs 2,100 meteorologists and hundreds of other forecasters, okay? This is less than 5%. We are fully staffed. There are no openings on the National Hurricane Center, zero. It is fully staffed. We are fully ready for hurricane season, and our meteorologists
Mr. Secretary,
are fully staffed.
you did not answer
Fully staffed.
You did not answer the direct question about whether those weather offices are open full time, and it's obvious that you all made a huge mistake. I mean, you've acknowledged it by having to rehire 126 people. But can you just comment on whether or not those offices I mentioned are operating 24
We have
hours
not
a day?
made a huge mistake. I did not say such a thing.
I didn't say you did. It's pretty obvious from the actions. I will. As I said, you fired
News
600.
report
You're
was
rehiring.
inaccurate, obviously.
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 We're happy to follow up, and you can provide the facts.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Federal District Court had already ruled against the administration's RIFF plans, stating that such reorganizations cannot proceed without congressional involvement. That ruling was recently upheld by an appellate court. While Van Hollen did not seek a legal opinion from the Secretary, he stressed that the law requires such major changes to be submitted to the Senate and pressed for a clear answer. The Secretary remained noncommittal, only stating that the department would follow the law. Frustrated by repeated non-responsiveness, Van Hollen highlighted numerous letters and staff inquiries that had gone unanswered. He sought a commitment for replies within a week. The Secretary said he would review the letters and respond to the extent possible, but could not commit to specifics without knowing the contents. The conversation then turned to the National Weather Service, where Van Hollen criticized a decision to eliminate 600 staff positions, only for the department to later try to rehire 126 of them as hurricane season approached. He cited a recent Washington Post headline warning about staffing shortages. Although the Secretary claimed the department was fully staffed with 2,100 meteorologists and no vacancies at the National Hurricane Center, he avoided directly answering whether specific offices in Kansas, Alaska, and Oregon were operating 24/7. Van Hollen maintained that the department's actions reflected a significant mistake, evidenced by the rushed rehiring. He pointed to the closure of certain local weather offices as proof that the cuts were premature and poorly planned. The Secretary insisted the agency was ready for hurricane season and offered to follow up with more detailed information.